Right, okay, guys, welcome back to On the Hook. So, we're on this episode 6 now. So, today we're doing a bit of a different podcast than usual. So, normally we have content creators on, and I did put a YouTube post out saying if people wanted to come on, because I think it's very important we get an overall view of the community. So, it's not just down to what content creators think. So, we've invited some viewers on. And today I want to introduce, we've got Rosie as usual. Captain Salty isn't very well today, so he won't be able to make it on. And then we've got Dementia and Kirk. So guys, do you want to tell us a bit about yourselves? Starting with Dementia, you're on the top of the list.
Hi, my name is Dementia. I have a little small Instagram account dedicated to DBD and other games. Usually I would just make gameplay clips of Killer and Survivor. I would post a lot of the patches, nerfs, and all these changes to the game, and I'll give my own input in them on what I think. And for the game, I used to be a hardcore killer main, but then that slowly kind of died out, and I played more Survivor. And then it came to the point where I played both, so I understood the issues with both parts. And now I just don't play killer at all because I just feel like it's just not fun. It's just annoying to be high rank with it. So all I play is Survivor just for fun. I don't take the game seriously anymore, and that's it.
Okay, interesting. Kirk, a bit about yourself?
My name's Kirk. I have almost 4,000 hours in Dead by Daylight, about 100 off from there. I've been playing since release, not beta, but release, and I love this game. I feel like uh, no, I don't. I'm not gonna say I know what's best for it, but I feel like I have a lot of ideas that I think would benefit this game greatly, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Brilliant, brilliant. Dementia, you'll have to. You can. I don't mind you giving your Instagram a plug if you wanted to. So remind me at the end, and I'll put it in the description as well. But we'll give that a shout out, or we'll have a look at that. Okay, guys. So that was a little introduction there. So, like I said, the idea was to get a bit of a balanced view on things. Not just the same people giving their opinions. So the first thing we want to talk about, obviously the hot topic of this week, is the Trickster Buff. So thoughts on that, guys? What do you think? We'll start with you, Rosie.
Oh, starting with me. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought we were starting. Oh, okay. I've only read them once. I'm not gonna lie. This has been a week and a half for me. So I've only read them once. They don't look like they look like they fixed the things that made him unplayable. And like that's not gonna make him good or solid. It's just going to make him slightly a bit more playable. Main
Yeah.
event is still trash and it's still
Great.
useless. Uh, and like so that still has no overall purpose. And then they still did not fix the uh the laceration meter going down in a chase too fast. Those are
Yeah.
right there are the two big problems that he had. It wasn't like 110 wasn't the big problem that he had. That laceration meter going down super quick, only adding 5 seconds to that, I still think was a mistake, and I still think they need to do more with him. I honestly wish they would just rework him and start over, but that's probably not going to happen. That's my take.
Okay. Dementia. Okay. Whoever wants to go next.
Uh, if it was up to me, I honestly would have just made it so that like this is what everyone originally thought it would do, and people even then thought like, yeah, main event would be okay. Like they never even said it would be insane. But what people thought main event was going to do in the PTB that people thought was a bug is that they thought it was going to make him go his full movement speed when he was in it. Like that was like something I would hear all the time. It's like, yeah, like once it goes live or whatever, he's going to go 110 in main event, and like that'll be a nice little burst of power he'll have, and we'll see how good he is then. No, it was some obligatory, like strange specific number thing that Almo was talking about, where he was like, actually, the ramping of the speed to da 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 da. He goes 3.86 in his power. That's
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like he went to all this length to like over exaggerate a point that was literally just I put a whole bunch of pointless numbers into this character to show how good I am at design, but really we have a guy who can't aim his knives and throws them fast, but only takes 16 to down somebody. It's it's like the epitome of I'm good at programming, but I have no idea what design is. That's Almo in my eyes. He's a great programmer, and if you look, there's very few bugs in Trickster's kit. It's a very well programmed killer. I think Almo's a great programmer. The killer himself is a joke, obviously, but and I still think he's a joke. I think that he's going to get bullied, but his skill cap has definitely been raised a lot. I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
That was the main thing. Obviously, the things that stood out for me was the recoil and the spreading of the knives. I was like, why would you even have put that in? It just didn't make sense at all. But obviously, that's something they're going to hopefully fix. And I believe that could be out. I've heard it could be Tuesday, but not 100% sure on that. So it'll be interesting to see if it does come out. I
heard it was Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's this Tuesday it's going to be coming out, but that's just a rumour. Just a quick question, guys, while we're talking about killers then. Sander has asked, what are your thoughts on Zestlinger? What would you do to make him more viable?
I'll go first, I guess.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I actually, a while back, came up with some interesting changes for the Zestlinger. I think it would make him more fun to go against and actually a little more balanced. And it's funny. I have like a whole thing of like stuff I would change about killers, but I had that before I came on this podcast. I just like, I have a whole like a Google Drive where I just like type random stuff that I come up with off the top of my head, and I'm like, that seems like it could be neat. Here we go.
That's what I do too. I'm not gonna lie. I make videos with Google Drive.
Half the time I'll think of.
It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. But sometimes I'll just think of something and I'll be like, that'd be a great idea, and then I won't write it down and I'll forget what it was. I'm like, shit, that actually sounded really cool in my head when I thought of it, and I can't even remember it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is, a big complaint of people who like go against Zestlinger is that like there's no counterplay because he can just flick up his aim or whatever instantly and like insta shoot people. I use a crosshair when I play long range killers. When I snap up, I can literally see where I'm going to be shooting before I'm aiming at somebody. As Huntress, I don't really think that's a big of an advantage to have a crosshair. I mean, it's helpful, I don't think it's cheating. As Zestlinger, it can feel like cheating sometimes. But anyway, it doesn't make him good or anything. It just makes him like Spirit, like unbeatable in the chase. But anyway, my changes to Zestlinger. I'd make him the first killer that's 4.5. Like a lot of killers, 4.6, 4.4. I'd make him 4.5.
So in between.
I'd reduce his reload time to 3 seconds. Fucking nearly 4 seconds his reload time. That is insane. Like what? Like for a single shot, you have to waste 4 seconds after your attack cooldown. And if you don't use your attack, you get a 5-second stun followed by a 4-second reload time. Like get the fuck out of here. Like it's insane how many like restrictions he has on him. And I'd give his chain that purple add-on default. If you hit somebody from max range with Zestlinger, you don't have that purple add-on, you can't reel somebody in all the way. You actually can't. You have to let it break off. I've hit max range shots. You cannot reel people in all the way, even if the chain doesn't graze against anything. It's too far. And then the one thing I would actually nerf about him is I would make his thing take 0.75 seconds to aim his gun. So 3/4 of a second, that's about half the time it takes for Hunters to wind up. But that's what I would change about Zestlinger. I think that'd make him a lot better.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Some interesting changes there. Dementia? Any thoughts on Zestlinger?
I personally don't have an issue with him. Honestly, I consider him to be one of the my favorite killers to go up against, just because I like to play around in the chase. I like to do little side by side things. Like the only counter that I've found from him is that I pretend to go on an obvious narrow pathway, like let's say between a pallet and a wall, that they're just in between. I try to go there, and I'm always looking at the gunstinger. I'm always looking at him, and as soon as I see him raise, I just move to the side, and it doesn't always get him. It depends on the skill of the player, but I would say like 65% of the time they always miss, and that just pisses them off a lot when it just...
I think we've lost you there, Dementia.
Yeah, Dementia, you're cutting out a bit.
One.
Damn, bro.
I'm sorry, it's just
yeah, you keep breaking up there, so we'll come back to you. Rosie, how about yourself?
Right.
I You guys know I call him Shitslinger, but he is in a he's in an okay spot. I think there's not a lot there to counterplay him in the chase, especially when he's close to you. That's when he's really like the gun's basically an extended lunge. That's what I've started using it as for the most part. Being on console, it's hard to hit those long range shots. So when I play him, I tend to use it as a extended lunge for the most part. But now I think there is enough there to juke him for the required time for the gens to pop. I think it's a slight exaggeration to say there's nothing there, especially when he's like a long distance. Holding W is still good against him. Like
That counters
there's
everybody.
yeah, that counters everybody, but like that, it's still it's there. And like I think there's enough there, especially when you're injured, and then he has to kick a lot of the pallets because you can't reel the guy in over them. I just think there's enough counterplay there to juke it. Is it fun? That's in the eye of the beholder. I personally find it funny when I drop a pallet, he can't do anything about it. But that's in the eye of the beholder. But I think the 4.5 suggestion you gave is interesting. I was wondering what you thought of the 4.6 when he doesn't have a bullet, and I don't know if you've heard that idea in your life. I'm sure you have. What do you
I've
think
heard
of
that
that
idea a
idea?
few times. Oh yeah, it's interesting. I've heard that idea a few times, but I think it works a lot better on killers like I don't know, like Huntress, where like it would make more sense because if you're out of hatchets, then it weighs less. You know what I mean? Like bullets. I don't know, like flavor, like mechanically, I get how that would be more balanced, but in the like, I don't know, I prefer they just gave him a flat speed, like because there's nothing really. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's not skillful, but if you have like no bullet and you're just like an M1 killer for that duration, that's not like nuanced gameplay. That's am I gonna be an M1 killer or am I gonna prepare to shoot? You know, and preparing to shoot takes 4 seconds. 3.75 seconds. So I don't know. I think a better change would just be to give him like a slightly faster speed and then make it more desirable to go for interesting shots at cool places instead of just like punishing heavily for missing and then making but then giving a lot of circumstances where it's good and none of them being fun, if that makes any sense. When I like think about rebalancing a killer, I think about how it would be fun and also how it would be good to go against, because I feel like both of those are very important. A lot of people will be like, oh, like Freddy is in an okay spot. Sorry, Jay, I know you like Freddy, but
Yeah, yeah.
Freddy's in an okay spot because he's balanced, and I agree. I think against a good team, Freddy is balanced. It's not. I don't think either team is favored, but like Freddy so absolutely like raffle stomps new players, and I'll tell you like as a a person with 4,000 hours, I think maybe a quarter of my hours are in Survivor. Um, every time I go against Freddy, it genuinely upsets me. Like I like this sounds like kind of like stupid, and I sound like a baby, but like I don't have any. I'd rather go against an iridescent headhuntress and like die in the first like 3 minutes, and or like go against a spirit with the best add-ons because even that's like scary and fun. Freddy genuinely just upsets me, and I feel like there should be no killer that should just genuinely upset you in a game if there's only 23 characters. I get if it's League of Legends, there's 100, 400,000 characters, whatever. But in this game, there really isn't an excuse for that, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. We'll have to come back about Freddy.
I'll like to add something to that.
Yeah, yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry about that earlier. I was in transit and I guess I went to a dead zone. Okay. So I like your idea of the gunslinger changes, but the only criticism I would take is that I feel like people would just use them, like they would just practice enough to the point where he would just be a little bit too good like that. Like, yeah, he'll have like slower aim down time. But I feel like it's the distance where the farther away from gunslinger you are, I think the better you are. And if you just make them just a bit quicker, I feel like he would just be able to close down the gaps. And it's like, what's the point of? I mean, you can use the gun, and
Yeah.
like you said, it'll be like an extended lunge. But I feel like, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I feel like it would just be very situational.
Well, I'll tell you, when you increase the speed of the character and decrease the wind-up time of the weapon, that encourages interactivity. Because now the survivor can't just make distance to counter the killer. What's fun about that? There's no more thing frustrating. There's a reason I main Blight now. Because holding W is just like one of the most obnoxious things to go against. It really is. And if you have a shorter wind-up time, that's going to make it so that survivors won't mind being within range of a Zestlinger because there's counterplay now. You know what I mean? Like to dodging the shot. It'll encourage that gameplay to take place. But that's, you know.
But the problem is, what happens when you get to the tiles where he's bad at already? Isn't he just a lot weaker at those tiles? Like, what do you do to help him there?
What tiles do you feel Zestlinger's bad at?
Long wall, short wall, jungle gym, out the windows. Not those windows. Like the pallets like anything with those god pallets.
I mean, Huntress is the only killer that can really counter a drop pallet besides like Nurse and Spirit, obviously, or sometimes Blade if you can go all the way around. I mean, most blades will just destroy the pallet, but I think that's okay that a pallet can counter him. You know, like
but it already can. So why nerf him?
I'm not nerfing him.
Well,
you mean the wind-up time on his attack?
Why nerf the wind-up time if you're at a pallet where he's already bad now, like the long wall, short wall, or anything with a lot of distance where he can't actually hit you?
Because in the current version of the game, if you miss, you're heavily, heavily, heavily punished. Or if you shoot somebody and then the chain breaks off, you're heavily, heavily, heavily punished.
Well, yeah,
but my idea is I would say that those punishes would go away. The punishes would be lessened. Okay. Like, or not go away fully, but be lessened by a lot. Like the reload time maybe could be 2.5 seconds instead of 4, and maybe that stupid little that stun could probably be like I'd make that 2.5 too. To be completely honest, like I think that stun is ridiculous. But I would lessen punishments and encourage interactivity. That's like the most important thing. That's my opinion on Billy too. Billy's punished for like breathing in the wrong direction. That's why nobody plays him. It's they just decrease punishments just makes the game more fun. That's the answer. And interesting.
No, that's fair enough. And hopefully, Sander, that answers your question. So a few different opinions on the Zestlinger there. Right, okay. We'll move on from a Zestlinger. We're looking at getting your thoughts. So, like you said, Kirk, you're obviously a lot of hours in the game itself. So what's your general thoughts on the community then? What is your thoughts? And that's for you as well, Dementia, sorry. So what are your thoughts, guys, on things we've discussed in the podcast in the past? Is there anything that really you've disagreed with, anything you've agreed with, anything that you see in the forums, anything about the state of play at the moment? So Kirk, I know you've sent before a list of things that you want to see improve in the game, so here's your opportunity to talk about
calling me out like that.
so yeah, but as I say, that's open to everybody. I know myself and Rose, you're probably gonna sit back and listen to you guys more during this, if that's okay. And
that's why I'm here, dude. I'm just here to ask questions to them today. I'm not getting anything from me.
I love the input. Seriously, thank you.
So fire away, guys. I don't know if Dementia or Kirk, if you want to go first. So broad question: what are your thoughts currently at the game at the moment? I know you've probably touched upon it a bit on the introduction, but what do you think, guys?
You started with the community, so I'll just give a quick synopsis really quick. Yeah. Dead by Daylight is like one of the most like entitled communities. I wouldn't say toxic though. That's another thing. I think a lot of people definitely overestimate how toxic the community can be. It used to be way worse, and that was back when survivors are still the power role, but survivors used to be a little bit more than the power role. If you played back then, like it was kind of disgusting. Like it's indescribable how ridiculous Decisive Strike was back then. It literally gave people like the biggest power trips. I'm just happy that phase of the game is over. Back then, though, I used to be told to, take my own life every, 5 games or whatever. Yeah. But nowadays, it's way better. Honestly. Now, people are just entitled. You could see people on Twitter, asking for, Trapper to be nerfed and shit. It's just, a lot of this community is just, they have 50 hours, so they think they have an opinion. That sounds awful. That sounds really gross. I shouldn't say stuff like that.
It does not, I promise. It's exactly what needs to be said.
Yeah, it's because I feel gross saying that sometimes because you'll have streamers and everything would be like, oh, the rank, rank doesn't matter and hours don't matter. If you say that hours matter in an argument, you're a dickhead. And it's just like, well, not really. I mean, hours I think matter a lot more than rank. I think ranks can be meaningless. But I feel like having knowledge of something is directly affiliated with how much experience you have with it. And I feel like if you have 400 hours in the game, not that your opinion doesn't matter at all, because new players are what fuel the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. You guys are important. I'm not saying that you're not your second-class citizens, but just balancing should definitely be left to the people who are like, maybe in the top like 75 percentile of hours as far as like balance is concerned, not fun. I think fun's important for everybody.
Okay, Dementia, your thoughts about the balance and what Kirk's just said?
Yeah, community.
Community, sorry. In
About the
regards to
community.
You're good. You're good.
Okay, about the community. I have, it's just so annoying. So I do agree that there's a lot of entitlement. The toxic levels in this game, I feel like have really died down a bit. Especially, I mean, I really don't know anymore because I don't play killer anymore. I don't get I don't get hate mail anymore. Just for winning a game and not letting survivors do what they want to do. But on the survivor side, I feel like there is, I don't want to say it's toxic, but they're just, you always find those players like killers who would always like just make the game just more harder for the survivors than what it needs to. Like, let's say like they will like always slug. Like I feel like okay, I don't want to get into that. I have no hate for slugging. But sometimes I feel like when they slug, they do it because that's the only way they know they're gonna win. And I feel like that's a problem with the gens or the way the survivors are. Like I feel like when the killer slugs, they feel like they have no hope, so that's the last resort. And but then it turns into them just leaving everyone in the ground.
Yeah.
Basically, and I've come across that here and there, and that's my only annoyance with the game is that I feel like we're at the state where the survivors are sometimes way too good or they're way too organized, especially like and I'm talking about before the DS rework. And they just power through gens really quickly, and therefore that makes the killer rethink what they got to do, and then they just slug. And I feel like there's no reason for you to slug sometimes. Like we're at 5 gens. And you're into down Bubba, slugging. Like not even a single hook. And then I know that hurts the killer. I'm sorry?
I have a response to exactly what you just said with the slugging or whatever whenever you're done. Just I have to make sure I remember it. I'm like leaving a mental note for
Okay. And then and that's just in game. That's just my only issue. Is that I think the killers feel overwhelmed with the game right now. That's the only that's their only solution that they have. It's just a slug, and I feel like it's just become such a strat that I don't get me wrong, I don't like it. I feel like it's a smart thing for a killer to do. Sometimes when he feels overwhelmed, when gens are popping 1, 2, 3, you got 2 gens left. What do? All right, you got to change up your strategy. You can't pick up a survivor, hook them, because that wastes a lot of time. And yeah, that's just in the game. When it comes to the community on social media, oh god, I can't deal with them sometimes. I really can't. There's one gripe that I have that someone said that playing the game DBD competitively ruins the game, and I feel like what's bad about that? Wanting to win. And I just feel like it's just salty survivors. Again, the entitlement that just because they play in a group, just because they run all the good perks, and the survivor and the killer just ends up sweeping, they get upset because of that. And I feel like the community has been better. I feel like people are recognizing all the signs that I guess hours mean more than ranks, I guess. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just rambling.
No, it's fine.
No, but yeah, that's my thought. I think the community right now is all right. There's a lot of entitlement, which I agree. And I don't think it's the most toxic game out there, like some people want to say. But it has its moments where just players are just they act like brats, basically. Whether it's survivor or killer, they can do things that will annoy other people, and then that's just a big turnoff.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's messaged on the chat, and he's put the killers are weak, so a lot of them have to do that in order to secure a kill. certain maps give you no choice. I have to agree with that. I mean, I don't like. I agree with Dementia. I don't like slugging. I try not to do it in my games. It's something that I just don't encourage. But in regards to certain games, you do certainly have no choice but to do that. I mean, talking about entitlement, it was quite funny because I'm nodding my head when you guys are talking about it. I don't see that much entitlement as yet. However, it's probably down to the way I play. I don't really play it very competitively. I'm happy with 3 kills and I don't normally give a hatch. So I don't think I give the survivors an excuse. But when I've seen other content creators and they'll tunnel or they'll camp and then you see the entitlement coming out that way and I'm like, well, I mean, I think about it yesterday, which is quite funny because it lines up with what you said, Kirk. Someone said I was boring because I played Freddy. And I thought I had a really good game. I enjoyed it, but the survivors didn't. They were like, it's boring playing Freddy. And then today I had a comment. Well, I mean, I got whooped. I was the plague. They picked the map. They had insta-heals. There were survivor friends, and they were complaining because they didn't get any altruism points, because I think I only got 3 hooks or something in the whole game. I just had a shocker, and I was just like, well, guys, you've rushed these gens, you've picked a map that's more favourable for you because they all had balanced landing. Right. So I'm like, you can't have it both ways. If you're picking everything to be on your side, the insta-heals, your balanced landings, you're picking a map that's going to take advantage of it, then why you haven't... As I say, they weren't coming across as toxic, they weren't having a go, they were just chatting amongst each other and saying, this is why I can't pick up, the killer didn't get enough hooks, and I'm like, well, you've all split up, you've given me a real tough time. I wish I was playing as Freddy because I didn't have fun that game, but I certainly see that entitlement. Rosie, what do you think about that? He's gone. He's fell asleep. Rosie.
Hold on. What's the question? I was talking to my girlfriend. I'm sorry.
Whoa, bro! All right, we got it.
What did you think about the comments that have come so far? The entitlement and the slugging.
Well, okay. The entitlement, I have a big video up about entitlement versus. I just feel like we need to get better at identifying what it is, because when we talk about entitlement, like you just we're ghost hunting. You need to figure out what it is. I have a video up mostly from a killer's perspective, admittedly, because that's why I play more. But I have some things about what is a legit criticism of the game versus. That's my video there. I'll just plug that for that. As for the slugging. When I slug as a killer, I never go out of my way to do it at the beginning of the game. Like, if I down somebody and there's nobody else around, I will take the hook. But when there's somebody around me and I'm Bubba or something that has an instant out, or even as somebody that I can just go get another hit on them or something like that. Slugging has a lot of synergy with Ruin, which I still think is one of the best perks in the game. Yeah. So if you're running Ruin, your goal is the pressure that Ruin provides only works as the killer is actively pressuring and chasing people. That's what.
What do you mean? It's free pressure. What do you mean?
No, dude. Pressure? It's free pressure.
Free. Just stand still. It's free. Just
stand still. Yeah, I should have just let Ruin do its thing, bro.
Yeah, stop interrupting Ruin, dude. You gotta stand still. Let it do its work.
But yeah, so I feel like y'all know I see and all that. Slugging has a lot of synergy with Ruin, so if I ever see that opportunity, it's about stopping the gens. That's what it's always been about. But the only way I'll actively slug is if I'll actually leave somebody on the ground not knowing where another survivor is, as if it's endgame and I'm losing. But I always try to make sure you get the most meat out of your games. Because I feel like that's the point. If you have identified that there is a group of survivors that you can just totally steamroll over because of the bad matchmaking, I don't try to just beat that group as fast as possible. I try to get as much as I can out of them before I actually win. Because you need the blood points because the grind is so bad. So you just you have to milk it as much as you can. I feel like going in there and just steamrolling over a bad group and ending the game. This applies to survivors too. Going over gen rushing a bad killer, I just feel like you're not milking the game for all it's worth. Yeah, you're gonna complain when you defib.
The whole thing with sorry, I just wanted to really quick. Sorry. The basically, as far as survivors are concerned, I think that when you're talking about why do survivors just gen rush a killer when they're bad? when I play, okay, so like the only time, admittedly, this is like, I mean, I'm not embarrassed to admit this, to be honest. I'm already like a mediocre survivor, but I only play Survive when I'm playing Survive with friends. That's it. You know what I mean? Like I like to play with my friends. We're joking around. We're not try-harding. You know what I mean? But I think what ends up happening is when you're against a good killer, the only time you wouldn't want to rush that game to its conclusion is if you enjoy going against a bad killer. And I think there is nothing me and my friends hate more actually than like feeling like we're bullying somebody. That is a feeling that is not really afforded to some people, and that definitely applies to us. When we're in a game against a bad killer, we want it to be fucking over. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing as when a killer wants to farm. Like, oh my god, we all ignore them,
Yeah.
and we just rush gens and we leave because we don't want to do that. We don't want to go against a bad killer. We don't want to farm. So when I think though that issue doesn't correlate with the killer issue because it's completely different actually, and I'll get into that.
No, I actually
Um,
agree. I know what you're saying. Like the
but
killer
let
has
me
the
let me
luxury of not being able to like seem like they're bullying people, whereas if the survivors prolong the game, it looks like they're stalling and bullying. I think I
right.
understand what you're saying.
But another thing, when you go into a game as a killer, you know what I mean? You don't know how good a team is. Like you can see that like it's like, oh, all these guys are on PC. They must be an SWF. I better equip my best perks. You know what I mean? But you really have no idea. Like you can't see how many hours they have if they have their account private, like most people do. And you're not going to be able to assess those people based on their cosmetics. Like most people are like, oh, this Nia has a face mask, so I'm gonna tunnel her. Like whatever. But when you get into a game, your guard as killer needs to be up. You need your guard to be up as killer because if you end up like let's say you slug three people and instead of like just downing the last person, you hook two of them, let one of them get picked up, let them unhook, let them reset. These guys are worse than me. That's what like you think to yourself. These guys are worse than me. Guess what? You let your guard down. They split on gens. None of them know how to chase, but guess what? They know how to split. And now you have lost, or you get a 2K when you could have easily 4K'd. And I feel like a lot of killers go through that, and that just teaches them, man, I should probably just like always have my guard up, because if I don't have my guard up, I'm gonna lose. And if I
Yeah,
don't like
that
losing,
that always happens.
and I think it's like completely reasonable to not enjoy losing. I don't think it's a satisfying feeling like, 4K with 50 tea bags. Nice deep breath. Like it's just not the sensation you get from that. And it's like, especially if you're playing like your main and you let your guard down and you lost to a team you definitely could have beaten. There is like that's a pretty shitty feeling. So
Hmm.
I get slugging at any point in the game and fully understand it. You can be toxic and then you can simply play the game, and there's a big, big, big difference.
Yeah.
Again,
To add to that, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, go on, Dementia. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. To add to that, yeah, that's a really bad feeling. It's like I play a Predator Hunting Grounds, and as a Predator, you can kill four people, and when someone is dead, you have a chance to bring them back. So there's moments where you'd kill three out of the four, and then you can let there's this one moment where the last survivor or the last fire team can go and revive the other three players, and sometimes you feel like that was a bit too easy. I downed all three of them. They there was no challenge. So you try to be nice and you let the fourth person go revive them,
And they have a
and
comeback.
they come back, and next thing you know, boom, they just start.
Yeah.
There's no mercy for you. You gave them mercy, but there's no mercy for
Yeah.
you, and then
Right.
they just kill you, and then it's like, wow, well, that fucking sucks.
I I have
I could have killed
never
them all.
Yeah. I've never like heard or seen a way that survivors give mercy. I've never heard of that. Can I be completely honest? I've never heard of that ever. Like I've never heard of like, let's slow down on Jen. This killer's playing pretty nice. Like I've never heard of that. Like the only time that happens is when the survivors go into the game expecting not to try hard. Like, they're all just going in with flashlights and they're goofing off and not really doing gens and just like screwing around. That is like fundamentally different than like a team being like, you know what? I'm gonna be nice. Survivor teams don't do that. I've never
Well,
heard of survivors doing that, and there
I,
is no way
I,
for them to do that besides just let
yeah.
go of the gen they're on. Like what? Like no one does that.
I've done it in
I,
I've
I
done it in regards to I do that. I'll admit that because I mean I don't take this game serious enough. I've gone in with Survivor friends. There might have been two of us or three of us, And the game I remember was only about a week and a half ago. We played a nurse who was clearly learning how to play nurse. Like you said, we didn't enjoy the game. We didn't enjoy it. We didn't take no pleasure. One thing we did do, though, we did still do the gens. We didn't. So that sort of backs up what you're saying, Kirk, in regards to, I didn't think myself, right, let's stop doing gens. But what we did do is we all died at the end because we started letting the nurse chase. And lucky enough, I mean, the nurse seen it as not being toxic, because that's what I was conscious of. I was like, I'm hoping this nurse doesn't think we're bullying or anything. So she got a bit of practice. In the end, we were near the exit gate. We pointed to the hooks. I think she ended up killing 3 of us anyway, just with us sacrificing ourselves, because I was like, I felt bad. And I was like, this person's just learning. And the chat after, it turned out that's what happened. They were just learning how to play nurse. Obviously, it was it in the recent home challenge? Nurse plays, so you were getting quite a lot of people playing nurse. But that probably doesn't happen often, but it's just, I think that's more because I do play killer more. And, you know, I want the opportunity. I want an opportunity to practice playing as a killer without being bullied, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but I think it can happen occasionally. But I do hear what you're saying. Not once did we think, right, let's stop doing gens. The conversation was constantly, I think it's a new killer, I think it's a new nurse. People were getting chased, and we just gave the points away at the end, just as a thank you, really. But
yeah, and that's definitely in the minority of things that happen. I was just laughing earlier. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying, by the way. Sorry about that. I was laughing at how like playing killer teaches you to learn empathy. Like playing a serial killer in a video game that hunts people down. And like sacrifices, that teaches you more empathy than playing as the team of people trying to survive. That's just that concept is funny to me. I'm not saying it's like that's how it is, but like that concept is funny. Because it's kind of it's partially true, partially.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fair enough. Right. Okay, just on to the next thing then, guys. So, this was a comment made, and I know Captain Salty might listen to this later on. He might be listening now. I know he's not very well. It got his back up a bit, but I was like, actually, I think this comment, I hear it a lot in the community, especially from people who have played a lot of hours. But the comment is, this game is getting closer to balance than it ever has been. Is that a true statement, guys?
I want to say yes. I want to say yes because I've been through the lows on this game when borrow time affected 2 people, where DS was that wiggle thing. Where you had to wiggle a specific time, and everyone could do it.
Yeah, and if you were the obsession, you could do it right away. You didn't have to wiggle. You just
Yeah. And I've been to the point where a face camping was such literally face camping. You couldn't do anything about it. I feel like from all those bad memories I've had of DBD, I feel like the game has come a long way, and it's becoming more and more balanced. I feel like the issue now is just strong killers. We're lacking strong killers because everyone says that the devs are too scared to make a strong killer, and I really believe that. They're just scared that they're going to make someone too strong. And of course, the majority of the player base, which are the survivors, whether it be the hardcore survivors or the casual ones that just come in maybe just last year and they stream, they're gonna cry that it's too strong, please nerf. And I just feel like that's the only issue, is that we don't have any strong killers. There's no incentive to playing these killers that they've been releasing, because it's like why not just play a insta down killer versus, again, the example, the Trickster. Like, why would I play the Trickster? There's no point. But I feel like the game is becoming more balanced than what it was. And again, I'm coming from way back in DBD, I guess, when it first released. Things were not balanced at all. So I say yes. I think the game is more balanced now. It could be better. It could be improved. I'm not saying the game is perfect. It could be improved by little. But it's more balanced than what it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. We've had Airless. You have come on. I think you are muted at the
New
moment.
challenger approaches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Rosie, is the game closer to balance than it's ever been?
Well, I gave you this metaphor last week. I'll repeat it here for all the new people.
If there's, you clean up 5 pieces of shit or whatever,
If
there's
you
still
clean
12
up,
left.
if there's 17 pieces of dog shit in my house, the house fucking stinks, and you come in and you take 3 of the pieces of dog shit out, the room's closer to getting clean, bro. It is. You took 3 dog shit pieces on. They're big, and they're wet pieces of dog shit too. They're slimy and gross. But so yeah, you took 3 wet, slimy pieces of dog shit out. Good job, dude. What about the other 14?
I got a metaphor.
But y'all know my opinion. Keep going. What's your metaphor?
Yeah. So my metaphor is actually pretty close to yours, but the thing that I'm seeing is that right now, this house had a dozen shits in it when we started out, and I feel like honestly like 10 of them have been taken out, and there's like 10 in the backyard. And for some reason, the devs are going into the backyard and cleaning the shit out there before they take the 2 left out that are still in the house. I think metaphor. And that metaphor directly affiliates with the base maps in the game. Those are the shits left inside the house.
Yes.
Right now, you have maps like the Yamaoka maps and the Huntress's maps and the temple. Those maps have unique loops on them that are like some of the most ridiculous loops they've ever added to the game, and they still haven't even fixed the maps. Like long wall jungle gyms are still treated as balanced loops by some people.
Yes,
that is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah,
that people think that long wall jungle gyms are a fair and balanced structure.
I think the long wall jungle gym is stronger than some god loops.
It is.
Honestly,
It's
so broken. And
I love when I'm running up to the pallet side of a long wall jungle gym, and I'm a 115 killer or whatever with no movement related power, and we're both going towards the pallet, and I guess correctly that they're not going to drop the pallet, and it doesn't matter because if I follow them, they'll still make the window. Or let's say I go around the side and I just keep walking with them, and I never stop, I never hesitate. I hit the edge of the wall, they vault through it, and guess what? They can turn left, and on the Macmillan maps, there's that lip that makes the long wall shaped like an L, so they can perfectly either line up another fast vault or go for the pallet, and there is no counterplay to that whatsoever.
Love
it is,
you
dude.
Know you love it.
But here's what I mean though, to this game can be so close to balance. The little shit left in the house, slice that little edge off the long wall, slice that little L. Go into the Yamaoka maps, shrink the loops a little bit. A lot of loops on Yamaoka maps and Huntress, Red Forest maps are just the same loops in the normal maps, but bigger, so they favor survivors even more. Those need to be removed as soon as possible or shrunk. I don't know whose idea it was to create the same loop but bigger. That whoever came up with that needs to be fired. But the map designers clearly are not on the same page as the balancers. And a perfect example of that is, for example, the new Auto Haven. So Auto Haven was created when Undying was still in the game. I guess someone on the map design team took it upon themselves to put in some weirdly placed totems to nerf Undying or something, because there's a totem that used to be on the totem that used to be on hills in the old the old hill totem. It was tucked beneath that big rock when you were coming up the hill. Now it's on the top of the hill. You can see it from across the map.
It's like a beacon summoning. I know exactly which one. I had Ruin Undying on that game, and I was like,
they
who
literally
the fuck has put that there? Yeah.
I think some very talented special person on the map team was like, you know what? Undying's kind of overpowered. Maybe we should put the totems in Undying's nerfed a month later. I feel like a lot of stuff like that happens without us even knowing. But if you go back and look at this stuff, it's dude, who is on the same page of behavior? Who is? Oh my god, the one that pissed me off the most, as far as bad communication behavior. Sorry if I'm going on an ADHD rant here.
Oh no, please do.
Carry on.
Back when Devour Hope was buffed, actually it was nerfed. It was going to be buffed, but they ended up nerfing it by accident. I don't even know what happened. But in the patch notes originally for the Devour Hope changes, it said at 2 tokens your base speed will be increased by 5%. Baseline, period. And all the comments were like, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like a speed boost that can be, dude, Devour Hope might actually see some play now. It adds some more interesting nuance to the game. They sliced the 10% down to 5%. So wait a minute. Let me check the wiki really quick. I actually forget where Devour Hope is at the moment because I never use it anymore. But I know that ended up being like it was unanimously agreed in the community that Devour Hope was going to be different because it would give you a permanent speed buff, and it ended up not even doing that even in the PTB. Yeah, no, so it's nerfed now. So if you didn't know, 2 token on Devour Hope used to give you a 10% speed boost for 10 seconds after hooking a survivor. So 10 seconds after you get a 10% speed boost, 10 seconds. So when people said, oh, you get a 5% speed boost, they were like, oh, okay. So like, and it didn't say for 10 seconds, it just said 5%. Everyone thought it was going to give a base speed boost. Nope, they nerfed the Devour Hope. So that was like another thing. It was just like, I think maybe the people writing the patch notes were so blown away by the change that maybe they didn't even fathom that they nerfed Devour Hope. Like, shit like this crosses my mind all the time. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's such a mess. Where did we start again? wait. Where did this conversation start again?
About the balance of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's always that. Yeah, that's my personal opinion. They got to shave off the edges of a few loops. They got to, like, shrink down a few maps. Just chop out those empty areas, man. Just get the fuck rid of them. You know, every map should be the size of Cold Tower, if you really ask me. Like, my opinion, you know. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bigger than Cold Tower. Maybe 10,000 meters would be perfect, because... What's it? Like Mother's Dwelling is like 12,000, right? In like Cold Tower is like 9,000. I'd say 10,000 would be a perfect point for every map, and that should just be the standard baseline.
Yeah. But, no, that's good. That's good.
And that would fix like 90% of the killers. Let me also specify that. That would fix like a lot of the killers' issues if they fix loops, because they're built around 115 mind games. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, 115. This game will never ever be fixed until core 115 killer is viable with no power at all.
I don't know about.
Well, okay, yeah, we don't know about that. Maybe a basic power, like
Yeah.
but like that gets into my keystone killer idea I've talked about a few times. I need to make a video about that. But yeah, like the game will never be fixed until a majority of the 115% characters on the roster are viable. Once that is in the game, you know you're done.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. A few comments have come in here. Let me just quickly look at the comments. I've just had it to hand there. So, Hey says, I love how Undying is unfair, but Noed isn't. The old Hamid has put the old Undying was OP. It was a hex that comes with a risk factor. Now, the old Undying, I actually prefer the new Undying to that, but that's just from my own personal experience, because I would be left with just Undying as a hex totem doing nothing in the game. So I like the fact that now it's basically guaranteed to at least take that first hit for you and save your main one. But yeah, go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to clarify in case anybody misunderstood me. I believe Old Undying was massively overpowered, in my opinion. I genuinely believe that. The only time it wouldn't be is if you're playing like Clown against like a tournament squad. All I'm saying is that no team in the Dead by Daylight, or no person in the Dead by Daylight team should be making decisions based off a perk that's right about to be changed. Like, the fact that even took place is insane to me. Like, that, they made that Totem on the Hill show because of Undying. I know they did that. I know in my heart of hearts they did that. And then Undying was nerfed a month later. It's like no communication in that team at all.
I think it's really important to understand that Undying by itself wasn't the problem. It's the fact that it was only really viable to pair it with was because you couldn't pair it with the other, like the token items, because it just reset every time it changed. And I think that was the biggest thing about specifically resetting the token. Only very viable. And Rune already was it was changed, and it got changed to how it is now. It's better than it was before. It's a lot more consistent. And when you remove the counterplay of getting completely it, and you can be up to 5 times. Realistically, it's not gonna be 5 times. When those happen, that's the biggest problem.
I would have if it was up to me, I wouldn't have nerfed it as hard. But overall, I think that's probably a good killer change. When killers say, "Well, killers never get to have good perks; they always get nerfed," like I can definitely see that sometimes, but like I mean, in this case, there is no like that isn't a stance. I don't think like it was just it was out of hand. If it were up to me though, I would have just made it I would have kept it old undying, but you keep your tokens, and you only get 2 tokens on undying. So let's say ruin gets destroyed once, you lose a token. Ruin gets destroyed again, then it's gone. So like I would have that. Like you can resurrect 2 totems per game, and then
Oh,
you take
tokens. So put tokens on Undying itself.
undying. Yeah, and then have it
Ah.
so that like it had 2, so it can only resurrect 2 totems that game. That would be fine. I think that would have been
Well,
balanced,
what
and
would
then
you
it
say
would have
about
been.
like Devour Hope if it reset its?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could make it knock off 2 tokens every time, like knock 2 tokens off Devour Hope every time it gets cleansed, or that could work with every. This is just me spitballing, by the way. I didn't have this ready
Yeah.
in my head, but this is just like, it knocks off, let's say, half the tokens rounded down or whatever. So you know what I mean. So you destroy Devour Hope, it goes back to 2 tokens, perfect. And then okay, we have to get ready for Devour Hope in case he has Undying, and then they would still have counterplay from survivors between, okay, Undying's destroyed. Now let's find the real one. You know.
That's
So
an interesting point with with all this Devour Hope talk. I really do think Devour Hope is one of the most hex is very feast or famine. It gets killed instantly, or more. At least you
yeah.
get some downs.
Any perk you have to build up over the course of a game is more interesting than most of the perks that they've already added to the game. I'm not of the
Fire
opinion
Up
that like
is,
it's interesting though. I mean, if they like increase the
yeah.
numbers on Fire Up by like 1%, I would run it in every build. I mean, like that's the thing. Like I think a lot of perks are just like just about to be good, and that it's like if they were good, like okay, Fire Up if it was 1% better would just be better than Brutal Strength, in my opinion. Like I don't know. Like I already run Fire Up on like my Myers. I already run Fire Up. I will occasionally run Fire Up on like my demo. Like because like Jens fly so hard against demo, and his animation for vaulting windows looks so crazy that if you have like 3 stacks of like that, it looks like he's like just like instantly
Just
vaulting the
slithers
window.
open.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, and like oh my god, Fire Up Bamboozle Demogorgon, disgusting. You guys should give that a try sometime. Just a just a little tidbit out there. It's very gross, but.
What was the first question?
Yeah, right. I always fucking lose track, dude. It's
Airless,
fun to
let
rant,
me
though.
just quickly introduce you because you just appeared out of nowhere. So, Airless,
Yeah.
you were just at 54 minutes late, so it's all right. Casually late.
Oh, I thought it was at 2. I'm sorry.
Oh,
You're good.
did I give you the wrong time then? Right.
Yeah, you said it was.
That's definitely my fault. And so the sarcasm that
7 PST.
I've just put out there has backfired. So I do apologise for that. All right. So Airless, do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself? Put you on the spot now, haven't I?
Just a humble gamer, I've interacted with your comments.
Oh, you're cutting out, bro.
You keep cutting out. Yeah.
Oh.
Lower your mic sensitivity or get closer. Yeah.
I've been in your comment section. I've talked to you.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I've said was pretty cynical. And I think my outlook on the game is a bit cynical, and it's not because I don't like the game. I mean, I haven't played it that much recently, but I love the game, and I just think there's so many decisions that not all are bad, but well, I'm waiting for them to add breakable walls to the cornfields.
That's a good thing you're waiting for?
Breakable
I'm
corn.
dreading
No,
that.
I'm not. I just
Oh,
expect
okay.
it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's I don't know. I have like 1,000 hours in the game, so I
Yeah, you're
mean,
good.
I'd say only, but compared to most people have a very deep understanding, it's not that much.
Oh, you're good, man. No
Yeah.
problem. Oh, he just left. Dementia left. Oh, there he is.
Here
Okay.
we go. He's back. Right. So the question was, Airless, was just about the balance of the game. Is the game closer to balance than it's ever been? I think. Is it a
I mean,
general
yeah, it's
consensus
easy-
that yes? Yeah.
Yeah, that should just be a given.
In one way, I think balance really regresses is the maps, and I think that really is. I know you guys talked about it before, but that is probably the biggest negative thing I can think of about balance in Dead by Daylight. And I feel like with the reworks, it doesn't get better. Do you remember before like Macmillan got reworked, and they changed like Groaning Storehouse and Rancid Abattoir, and they added just those doorways there. Before it was just God
Yeah.
windows. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Oh my
And
god, I
then-
was crying.
That was
And then-
great.
It-
That was
it's still
great.
it's still an overpowered building, and that made me cry when I heard they added doorways there.
I know, and then when I see the rework, and the only thing they did, they just added a breakable wall where there wasn't one before.
Wait,
I
what?
don't
map?
understand it. It was
Groaning
like
Storehouse.
on Grown House. like before it got reworked.
Grown house.
No,
That's
no,
what
no.
I do when I
That's
see
fine. You
that
can call
map.
it that.
Robot house.
I'm so
Uh,
sorry, guys. Which one's Grown House again? Is that the is that Macmillan with the big rectangular building?
Yeah, just a big
Okay.
square.
It's got those
Right,
two
right,
weird
right.
gens on the outskirts that are basically both dead.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't stand that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it just when I'm not really excited for reworks. The only time I was excited for the rework was the game map because I thought it was gonna get better.
Oh
It
no!
didn't.
Didn't that
April
backfire?
Fools, motherfucker!
Yeah.
It's worse than Haddonfield now. It's worse than Haddonfield now. It actually is.
It's boring. Like it's just like it's not you can't really even loop. It's just you drop it.
Yeah.
It's not fun for anybody.
Can you believe they beat Haddonfield? Can we talk about that? they beat
No,
Haddonfield.
They're gonna add breakable bushes.
Yeah,
Oh my
breakable
God, right?
bushes. That was beating us 2 weeks ago with that comment. Yeah, breakable bushes.
But it's more the fact that the last good map that came out was with Zestlinger with Dead Dog, and I know some people don't like it, but it really is one of the few maps I think has okay breakable walls. I mean, you
I
kind of
actually
have
don't
to
mind them at all.
Yeah.
you have to break pretty much like the one up top and maybe the one like in the main building, the one by the window up the stairs, and then maybe
Yeah.
the one by the window on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the loops, I mean, they can be good, but you can also outplay them. And that like in the backs, like on the edge of the map, where it's just like a long line of just like random stuff, I don't really ever go there, so I don't really have a problem with that.
One of my favorite things about that map is how consistent it is. There's so little RNG. Like I know a lot of people hate that map because of the invisibility bushes that look like they're from Death Garden and like all the other like ridiculous like the ridiculous amount of breakable walls. But most of the breakable walls never even come into play. That middle building's so like poorly designed. I mean they literally added like they only have a bunch of breakable walls there that are always correct to not break. How is that design? How is that choice? How is that interactivity? It's none of those things. It's
I
like
really
they don't
love-
understand their own game, so they put breakable walls in a location and then made the map. It was just silly. But the rest of it, I actually love it. I love how consistent the map is. There's very little RNG to dictate if the map is playable or not. It's Dead Dog Saloon, and it's always Dead Dog Saloon.
I really
love that
enjoyed
about it.
the Killer Shack. I like how it's bigger than average, and you have the wall that if you break, it'll help you, but you
Yeah.
don't have to break it. And I feel like that kind of wall is what breakable wall should be, where you don't have to break it, but if you want to spend the time and go out of your way to do it, it should benefit you.
Well, that
And like, and I don't really see that at any other place, unless I'm forgetting something. But I feel like that's one of the few breakable walls that I feel are kind of good, that really are well balanced. Unless
Yeah.
I'm forgetting something.
I mean, what I was going to mention there is obviously we look at it from a killer's point of view in regards to the breakable walls and the map reworks, but from a survivor's point of view, I wish I could remember the name of it. It's one of the Macmillan Estate maps, but it is just dead zone upon dead zone. It's got a big tree in the middle. Can't think of its name
Shelter
now.
Woods.
But I think I seen
Shelter Woods.
Shelter
Shelter
Woods. I think someone put a video, it might have even been Scott Jones, saying about the map, and I think he counted something like 5 or 6 pallets in the whole game.
I
I think that was on.
I think
that
what's
was on
similar-
Pits. That was on Suffocation Pit, I think.
It was.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I think similar to that is with RNG. I think also really affects the Auto Haven map, the map with like the big shop and wretched shop. RNG really determines if that's a good map. You
Yeah.
either have the 17,000 pallets everywhere, all connected to each other, or you have 4 unsafe pallets.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I know a lot of killers really like Shelter Woods, but unless I'm playing like a one-shot killer or Blight, I hate playing on it because it's just hold W. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
so you have nowhere to go. You just go forward, and I don't know. I don't like Shelter Woods at all.
Well,
Yeah, a lot of
here's
people
my
do, but-
perspective on that. I don't like. It really sucks that the maps that are the better balance, like Shelter Woods and the Stranger Things map, are so fucking horrendous to play on because the tiles are like non-existent to just awful there. Like that does suck. Like the core of the game should be healthy to where the tiles are fun. Like when you get a map like Hawkins or Shelter Woods, it just feels like, oh, I got the baby map. Like if I can't win on this map, I'm not even good. Like you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the core of
Well-
the game is like kind of. It's not that it's in the other direction. I still think survivors are ridiculous, But the fact that that's their solution to make killers stronger is to like make the maps an absurd level of bad is like volumes about like why can't you just make a killer with a stronger power that can deal with the stronger tiles? You know what I mean? That's my perspective.
Well, if I could ask you, if we're talking about maps, what do you think is the most well-balanced map for both killer and survivor? And if I had to choose, I would say Wrecker's Yard.
Wrecker's I love Wrecker's Yard. I would say Father Campbell's, but I've seen some dumb shit happen there with that window at the bottom floor. But Wrecker's Yard, honestly, is one of my favorite maps in the game. Yeah, that one or Shelter Woods, which I don't think that is. I don't like Shelter Woods as a design standpoint. I think they honestly, with that tree in the middle, they should move Caltree from the Coleman Farm maps to that one and right there. I think that map is at a balanced state where it can handle it. What do you guys think about that? That's a survivor suggestion from me. That's rare.
What was that one more time? I'm sorry, I lost track.
Okay,
He was saying.
Yeah, go ahead, Airless.
He was saying that the cow tree from the Coldwind Farm maps.
Right.
Replace the big middle tree in Shelter Woods with that, because that's a strong loop, and I would agree with that, but only with the fact that if you because I feel like Shelter Woods is a little too big, because you have gens that could be spread out pretty far. If you're gonna do that, just compact the map a little bit. That way you have loops that are closer to each other, along with a strong loop in the middle.
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
No. Just more interactivity, I think, is the biggest thing.
What do you guys
agree,
think?
and I think the most.
Yeah, go on, Keck.
I was gonna say, I think the most interactive thing in this game, and like I said, like the devs are so close, is tiles. You know, that are not tiles, what jungle gyms. And I think jungle gyms are, they're not well made, but they're well designed. So I'm saying, if those tiles can be adjusted, that is where most of the gameplay comes from in DBD is jungle gyms, right? I mean, can we unanimously agree on that? It's not the circular loop with the rock, and then like there's a pallet next to the one rock and the other rock, and you run in a circle until it's done. It's a jungle gym, right?
I would agree. I really feel there's a lot of variance in this, but I really feel that is where more the true test of skill between the survivor and killer. Of course, you can have a lot of variables like getting like a one-shot huntress or a L wall T wall into a long wall jungle gym, but just like the basic L wall T walls, and then the loops where it's a window at one end and then the pallet at the other, really do show just the core test of who's better than who.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Almond now? Because that's actually becoming one of my favourite maps now. Is that a map you guys might have had terrible experience on it? It used to be the worst map in the game, or one of them at least. But now I'm starting to think.
Depends if I'm playing Blight.
Have they done a good job with that map?
Literally.
If I'm on Blight and then I see just white, I'm not happy.
Yeah, it's all snow instead of rocks. That's like the worst feeling. But no, that's another map that's like really just taken down several pegs by RNG. Like it sucks, man, because they fix so many issues about it, but there can literally be times where you can look out over to the one side of the thing where the old Gond window used to be, and you can there is literally pallets. So jungle gym, pallet,
Yeah.
jungle gym with the generator in it. That is an actual generation that takes place like half the time. The other half the time, jungle gym, rock, jungle gym. So it's just another issue with RNG. Remove the RNG from the map. Put one rock pallet there. Put two jungle gym, things. One of them has is a TL. The other two are pallet ones. Like it just. They need to just stop with the RNG. It crushes maps. I think when that map generates well, it's one of my favorite maps. It's so fun. It's so aesthetically pleasing. The snowstorm, it just looks awesome. And playing on it feels cool. But when that happens, it just completely takes me out of it. Like, I think, I can really get immersed in DBD sometimes with how much I'm having fun with it. And that just like... It's just, RNG, man. It just ruins everything. I think there are no killer-sided maps. That's one thing I can say pretty confidently. It's just
Agree.
if you got good RNG or not. That's it. That's if the map is killer sided or not. There is no map that is always
If I
killer
were
sided.
to, are you talking by killer? You mean just like as like a generic, just 115 with any kind of power?
No,
Because I mean,
I'm not saying that Nurse isn't overpowered on the game. I'm saying that a killer that has to follow the rules of the game and play the game how it's meant to be played, there is no map that is good for that killer. That's always good for that killer.
The
It's always
keystone
RNG
character.
decides. RNG decides
Yeah, I mean,
if it's killer better or not.
yeah. Looking at the questions, Hamid Call Tower is good for both sides in his opinion. Again, that to me that comes with RNG. I've had two jungle gyms spawn next to each other and long walls, windows, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? They expect me to be able to catch a survivor, and if the survivors know what they're doing, it's GG. You just got to just close that chase off and hope that the others don't click on how it's spawned. Alex asked a question quite a while ago, guys, so we'll probably digress a bit here. The plague, what do you think about the plague, guys? I was pretty shocked because people were telling me that, and I've probably said this about 4 or 5 times, and this is how shocked I am about it. I'm just like, no. People were telling me Trickster's better than the plague, and I'm like, you cannot be serious with that comment. So I think she's a very underrated killer. I think she suffers from the same as what most of the killers do. If you come up against a top team, a top Survivor Friends team, a team that knows what they're doing, you're going to struggle, but that's the case for most of the killers. But she has great snowball effect. But what do you guys think about her? Do you play her? How do you find her?
Yeah. If you play her good enough, you could definitely stand up to a good team. Not like a god team, team for sure. Like, I just personally don't play Plague, so my opinions on like, the semantics of her aren't really valid because I genuinely probably have 50 hours in Plague.
Yeah.
Her and Nurse are probably my 2 least played, but I will not doubt her strength. She is a very, very good killer. A tier for me.
Plague is, in my opinion, in the same role as Doctor, not like power-wise, but more the fact that you can't call them bad. You can do just amazing things with Plague and Doctor. I mean, they're good at different things, but it's more the fact that when people say like Doctor or Plague is bad, it's not really the fact that their power is bad. It's the fact that you can do just so much stuff that they're not even involved in. Like if you're playing against Doctor and you're just not near him, what can he do to you? And if you're playing Plague and you just not do the one thing the game wants you to do, what can she do? Yeah, you're one shot, but that means she is just 115. And like we've said before, the base 115 killer on especially bad RNG really can't do much.
Well, I'll tell you what, because they have snowball potential. That's why.
Yeah.
Like, you have killers that are incredibly good at chase, like Zestlinger, who, Zestlinger is, probably, top 3 if we're talking, 1v1 potential. But if we're talking about, snowball potential, I mean, Plague's insane. You can, if you have Infectious right, you can, literally, have your way with a team that's too bunched up. It's pretty frightening. I'd say that the reason she beats out those people is because, once she's done shooting somebody with her vomit, she fucking goes through her, half a second cooldown and can immediately, oh, look, there's what, someone just screamed, I can go in that direction. Zestlinger, it's like, I shoot, I hit them, I wipe off my weapon, I reload my gun, I don't have infectious fray because my terror radius is 24 meters, I pick up the survivor, you know what I mean? So it really just depends on their snowball potential.
I agree. And I know this is a very controversial statement, but I do think that Plague is like Trickster, not as bad, but more the fact that she is a jack of all trades, I would say, to an extent, but there's other killers that do her better. Like, if you want good snowball, she's good at snowballing, but I would say Oni's better. Or Bubba, even, to an extent. If you want range, I mean, she's okay at range, she can hit over some loops, but a good Huntress or Zestlinger is better at that. And, she's very tall, too, so it's easy to, see over loops and see what she's doing. And you can't really mind game with Plague unless it's just like a jungle gym with a super high wall. I don't think she...
Her arc lets you shoot over walls sometimes. That's very nice.
I have a complex take on this character, okay? I am I'm the voice of the people that think she's awful. I think she is really bad. I think playing against her is complex, and I think that's where a lot of the problems that you see people like getting insane plays with her come in. Because if you cleanse at the wrong time, it's instant death. But especially with infectious. But like the thing with her is this: she relies on the way that the survivors hit the gens. If the survivors hit the gens good, and then they can fix. The cleansing is not inherently bad. I feel like that's one thing people really mess up on when they analyze her. Because if, let's just say, the 3 gens are really far apart, and then in the corner there's a fountain over there, where she has to commit 30 seconds around that to get to it and then come back. If there's half a generator done, she doesn't have time to go do that fountain and go get her corrupt purge. So that's a free cleanse. That's a free whopping, 8 seconds, 12 seconds of healing that you just get to go do for free on her. And especially if the survivors she has a weak early game. She has a lot of issues where she can just infect somebody. I don't know if anyone's had this problem with her. You can hit someone, you can hit someone with the purge and they don't get sick.
They'll go,
Yeah,
they're
that
getting
makes
hit.
sound.
I don't know what that is. And then if you watch a game of hers back and slow down the footage, you can see the strands of her puke disappearing when they hit stuff. Now, I know how it works. It's not like the entire strand isn't a hitbox. I know it works like a little it's like pellets, but like it's so awkward to see the puke it's hard. It's awkward to not know which of the parts of the puke you should be aiming for, I guess. It kind of makes her unlearnable. But my overall argument on why I think she's so bad is when you get a team that, like, again, I know we don't like to talk about 1%, but like playing against her is complex. So I feel like a lot of wins with her are a result of misplays on the survivor's part. She's different. She's different to go against. But when you find a survivor team that knows when to cleanse, like, especially if there's 1 gen left, or like, and all of a sudden there's 4 cleanses, you have no pressure. You're scrambling to get 1 corrupt purge, but then everybody's 2 hits. You're not going to get the snowball you need when everybody's 2 hits with the time you have. 60 seconds is impossible. I just think against a well-coordinated, above-average team that knows when to cleanse and how to do it right against her, she is powerless.
Yeah, that's you bring up a very good point with the fact that also maps, can screw her over, but people often say that killers can only be good if survivors make mistakes, and while I don't agree with that to an extent, Plague really does embody that a lot. You really have to, if survivors make mistakes, you can decimate, which, you can do that with any killer, but Plague especially, but if survivors don't make mistakes, then you get decimated more than any other killer in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's... I'm just thinking about my own experience with it, and I did say earlier on I got whooped by a team. I was playing as Plague, but I thought I probably played it bad myself, so I couldn't really say much, but they knew what to do. They were cleansing at pools that were far away, so it was a case of me to go get that vile corruption or whatever it's called, the red vomit. It would have resulted in me losing so much time, so they sort of knew how to play against her. But I still think she punishes mistakes from survivors. It's usually survivors will cleanse, but like you said, I suppose it depends on the level of survivors. So Spirit Upgrades, welcome to the channel. So she's RNG is what you're saying. So I think everyone's pretty much saying she's very RNG reliant. So anything else on the Plague, guys, before we move on?
If maps were consistently sized and done correctly, Plague would be one of the best killers in the game. But because maps can spawn fountains literally in the far corner, she'll never be top tier. But goddamn, she's good. I think she's very good if you're playing her perfectly. But
Plague
as maps, screw her.
Plague on Wreckerjoid compared to Plague on a swamp map, they play very different.
Very different. But it's also RNG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of talked enough trash about her. I will say, well, Well, I started like right after Legion dropped. She was my first new character. I played her quite a bit. I really love her, and I'm working on my how to buff video for her. I just keep putting it off, but I think she has a lot of potential if they just slightly tweaked her mechanics a little bit. One of the suggestions I'm thinking about bringing forward to her is she can ingest corruption from a hook survivor. I think that would be so helpful for her. What do you guys think?
If what? Sorry. If she done what? Sorry, Rosie.
If she can ingest corruption from a hooked survivor, that's
Ah.
fully
Well, would that
broken,
last
not
as
just
long
sick.
as like
It
a
has to be
normal
fully.
corrupt purge?
No,
Or
well,
do you think it'd be shorter?
would be-
I mean, if I'm trying to buff her, I go all out and just say make it full. But I'm open to shortening that a little bit, if you guys think that's too much.
I
I
would
think
say
if,
if you're gonna do that, give it like about 25 seconds, 20, 30 seconds. Do it from the hooks, 30 seconds, but change corrupt purge to 60 seconds instead of 45. Wait, is it 45 or is it 60?
I will see.
The base corrupt
now.
purge.
Let's have a look. I don't know if it tells you on here. I don't know. It says, does it? Corrupt purge.
Oh.
Have you no longer plans? No, it doesn't say the time there, but I'm sure it's about 60 seconds, isn't it? That you have it for.
I don't know. I thought it was I thought base time is 45, and if it is, I would say just buff the base time from if you corrupt purge from the fountains to 60, and with that idea you suggested getting corrupt purge from hooking, put that
But
down
even
to
then,
30.
you're still limited by if survivors cleanse or not and where they cleanse. I say, and this is just my personal, takeaway, after a certain amount of time that I will not specify, a random fountain on the map or the closest fountain to you becomes automatically filled with red shit. And then, every once in a while, you're like, I get my power, and you get to use that. But it should have a unique sound effect that survivors can be like, okay, so a new red thing just appeared without any of us cleansing, and that should be identifiable by the survivors, and maybe it should appear every 90 seconds or maybe 2 minutes. Bump it up. Every 2 minutes you get a free fountain, and I think that could be just in line with the change they made where you start out with one fountain, maybe you automatically get one every once in a while. These are my thoughts.
Yeah. Plenty to think about. Rosie, did you say you're going to do a video, a buffed plague video?
Yeah, the series I've been doing. Fasner's been on my ass about doing that, but I just sit on mine and never do it.
Right.
I have a document
Matt.
for it.
I'd be interested to see your thoughts on twins.
I have a video
Sure.
on twins, and I gave them an
Oh.
emergency buff because they were so horrible on release.
Twins. What are
But
your
now
thoughts
they're
on
just-
twins, guys?
God, what a
Everyone-
train wreck.
Yeah, if I'm looking at twins now, just not the horrendous launch. Everyone knows about that. Everyone can clown around about that. But
Yeah.
people always say that she's a good killer if you camp and tunnel and do all the unsavory things. And yeah, I would say that she is pretty good at that. But I do think the ability to pressure 2 points kind of at once, being you can hurt people at one side of the map and chase people at the other, is very strong and can be used effectively. And it's such a unique power too that even it's interesting to think about. At least it's not interesting to think about the Trickster. Twins are interesting. He's not.
Yeah.
I get that point. I think, me personally, the whole thing, you guys are aware that different developers create different killers, right? Do you guys know that? That they have different programmers, and sometimes McLean was completely responsible for the Blight, let's say, and Alma was completely responsible for the Trickster, right? Right. So I can tell.
Well, that shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
but I'm just saying, there's a couple killers in the game that are like that, exclusively made by one person, and other people just put in programming work. It's just so funny. Even the head, not designer. What is Makote to the community? What is he again?
God.
What's his position?
A meme.
God. Yeah, literally the
Omniscient.
joke. his Twitter silent when the Blight came out. Literally nothing. Ended up being one of the most fun and cool and powerful killers they've ever added. Like, and then like the twins come out, and like the Trickster comes out, and like the Legion comes out, and when either of those three killers were added, which are three of the most like boring killers to face, like he was just like, you know, guys, I'm really excited for this chapter coming up. I really think you guys are gonna like it. Go back in time.
I think
He
that's just really
honestly-
him being humble. You know.
Yeah, but he's never done that for any. But he's never. No, we're not talking about Mako. Oh, no, we are talking about Mako. I thought you were gonna say
Yeah.
McLean. No, yeah, I think he just is just like a humble potato farmer pretending to be a game designer. It's, you know, it's
He's
very
got the best
troubling at
smile.
times. I guess he's a good face, but yeah, I don't know. It's just funny, like even like the heads like are really just like, wouldn't it be cool if there were twins in the game? And like they're like, I think you guys are really gonna like this, and it ends up being terrible. I don't know. I think it just that the opinions of those who do not understand game balance should not matter at all in the community. You know what I mean? Like, I have a
Well,
feeling, just me personally, that when McLean designed the Blight, he never got a pat on the shoulder. I don't think he ever got that pat on the shoulder.
it's really easy. I mean, I agree with you to an extent. I do think that they do make a lot of mistakes, but you know, especially when you're out there, you're a public figure. It's really easy to scrutinize, you know, their mistakes, and I think especially, you know, with Almo, I don't hate Almo. I don't dislike him.
Either.
think
I don't
he's
hate Mako.
passionate about his job, but
I think he's a great
Almo-
programmer.
Yeah, Mako. He's a cute guy, but
No, I'm saying like literally like the Trickster came out great. He wasn't buggy at all. Like I
No.
mean, he designed the Trickster from the from the bottom to the top. I'm just saying, you know, like he's not a good designer, and like that's the end of it. You know, I mean, I'm sure they hired him for a reason, and that's probably why he's a great programmer.
they designed a rock, they put it in the game, and it sure is a rock. It works as a rock.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
but-
good.
But when you think about it, every killer's come out buggy in like in the past. You know what I mean? And like how many like when you really think about it, and this is something that no one's talking about. Like when's the last time a killer came out with no issues?
That's
You know what I mean? Like bug wise, like literally none. Like that's what I'm saying. Like get him off the
Yeah.
design team.
Yeah.
I think that if someone were, if I were to replace anyone, it would be Almo. No, I don't think he's incompetent. I think he is more knowledgeable than me at least, but I do think someone else should be at the top.
Should be a lead
Roland,
programmer.
if you're gonna keep him as Roland, the company needs to change. He is. If you say what you want about his programmer, his designing, I think he should never be on a Q&A ever. I think he is a terrible
I agree.
voice, and I think he's a terrible spokesman. I think he treats the community really bad at times. I just think get him
Why?
off the Q&A. If you're gonna have him in your little box and never show him to us. You know what I mean? He should never be on a
Well-
stream making an ass out of himself with the colorblind shit. Just leave him in the box.
Yeah.
What
I
yeah,
don't
what
we
is,
know,
see
the
him too much. We
statistics
see
say-
him way too much.
I think
The statistics say object of obsession is not a terribly effective perk, so I'm just
yeah, he's just, I mean, going off what
it's
you're
like Nerf
saying
isn't
there,
terribly effective.
I don't, I could sort of say quite confidently, I think he should still be in the question and answers, because that's at least monitored. It's when he's streaming himself, he seems to be a guy that needs his own PR. You know, he needs somebody who's giving him a script and saying, right, you cannot say this, you cannot say that, be careful what you say. But on the other hand, I suppose, is it them saying, well, look, he is, you know, we're very open as a devs team, he can go and stream and say whatever he wants, we don't mind. But he does seem to come up with some things that I always know he's been streaming. I don't follow him, I don't really use Twitch, but I know when he's been streaming because YouTube will be flooded with videos. You know, it'll be flooded
have
with
you seen his
videos.
gameplay?
I haven't even seen his gameplay, but I've seen video clips of it, and I'm like,
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Jay. It's
Hard Camp's
depressing.
basement.
yeah. So just to
Insidious
answer,
Bubba's an interesting strategy, guys.
Yeah, very.
just to answer Hamid, Almo is one of the game designers, so you'll see him if they do a question and answers. He's normally sat there
He's the
talking
guy with
about.
the funky hair.
Yeah, he's got a nice hairdo. So, yeah, he's the one that does the balancing, pretty much. And he'll always talk about the data. So, right, okay, guys. So, last thing then. Anything else you want to bring about, guys, especially for Airless, Dementia, and Kirk? Anything you wanted to discuss? You
Want to talk about streamers?
streamers? You want to talk about
Content
streamers?
creators?
Yes, please talk about streamers.
Um,
I'd be down. I love I'm
I
so
mean,
into the
what's your
community for
favorite,
this game on Twitch and
Jay?
everything.
Sorry, there was two people talking. I missed that. Sorry, say again.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite streamer, Jay?
Usually he's not on the Twitch.
My favorite streamer.
Yourself?
I do no. I watch Twitch now and again. It's not something I'll go out my
Oh,
way
okay.
to do.
I got you.
Like
Or
I've
just
been,
content creator, I
I've-
guess, in general.
my favorite, the one that I've probably watched the most is probably True Talent. I just enjoy his videos, and I said it before. He's quite relentless in the amount of videos that get put up. You know, there's always about 5 or 6 different videos a day. But last time I mentioned about favorite streamers, people were like, "Why didn't you say him? Why didn't you say that?" And to be honest, I enjoy them all. So I do watch Ots. I watch Scott Jund. I watch. Jay, the other J. I watch his videos.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, so and I just come up against new ones all the time, and I'll just watch it if the videos are interesting. If I was to pick an all-time favorite, just for comedy values, so not educational, not about news, not giving their opinions, I'd probably say Noob. So his videos are very entertaining. But in regards to someone who I'll watch more than others, it will probably be True Talent. What about you guys?
I am so it's so weird, man, because it's so weird to talk about because I feel like a lot of people are genuinely shamed for it, but I honestly kind of like True Talent.
Yeah.
Oh no, Airless, there he is. I was gonna say I genuinely honestly like True Talent. I know a lot of people don't really like this kind of stuff he says, and I genuinely think sometimes he can say wrong things, but dude, the guy's got character. I am a 4-year subscriber to him on Twitch.
Yeah.
I think the biggest, if I could say the biggest weakness that he has is that he does not associate with the community enough. And it becomes very obvious because his whole demeanor towards people, he doesn't understand how anyone's thinking when he's talking to them because he doesn't watch other streamers. You know what I mean? There'll be texts and things that he's never even heard of because he doesn't watch content creators. He doesn't engage with the community. You know what I mean? I think True Talent, genuinely, if he watched YouTube videos about Dead by Daylight and he learned more text and he learned more mind games and did stuff besides just teaching himself, he would be the best killer in Dead by Daylight, period. And I don't think oh my god, he limits himself so much because he just wants to be self-taught. He just wants to say self-taught and everything. The dude's reaction time, dude. There's this one video I saw of him on Red Forest where he was coming out of the shack and there was this guy speed hacking, and this guy was repairing a generator and then disappeared, and he it literally looked like it was a shadow that vanished. And True was like, oh, he just went right, and he turns right or whatever, and he's like, yeah, he went in that direction, and then to me it just looked like one frame he was there, one frame he was gone. I slowed down the video to 0.25 seconds, and you can see. It's his reaction time is insane.
I know which video you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, he just sees higher FPS. And I genuinely think his biggest limitation as a streamer and as a player is that he just doesn't take advice. And I think that if he took advice, he'd be the best killer in Dead by Daylight. And it would be insane. I'd love to see that world. But at this point, he's not even close. If I'm being completely frank with you, not even close because he doesn't take advice.
See, the thing about him is, I think the best thing about him is that his heart's in the right place. I think he truly wants the game fixed. And you know what? I think that's above everything else is why I keep going back to him more than anybody else. He clearly is driven to get the game in a much better state in terms of the balance. And when he said some dumb stuff before Rape Top 3. I disagree with him on the hooks thing he's pushing for right now. But whatever he says wrong, it's all about his heart and making the game legitimately better. So I'm more inclined to forgive his bad things that he says over someone that's consistently pushing the game in a wrong direction.
I don't think so. I don't think either of them are pushing in a wrong direction. I think they're just pushing in different directions. But as far as True Talent's concerned, I think he doesn't his whole thing with the hook thing is just his nature as a fighting game player, because that's what he's played his whole life is fighting games. You know, he dabbled in For Honor for a bit, but he's a fighting game player. And I think that to him as a fighting game player and not as a strategy game player, he sees the game as the chase, and that's all the game is just the chase. When in reality, the
Fighting
game
games
extends.
too.
Yeah,
I
but
played Smash and Injustice.
no, I know, but I'm just saying he's very fighting game brained. Like that is where his brain is wired to. So he's gonna value a chase, which is like a 1v1 interaction between two players. Then he's gonna value an entire team getting slugged. But really, slugging an entire team isn't winning them in a 1v1. It's basically beating them in chess. And I think that him as not a strategy game player, it's hard for him to see that. But there is definitely skill to things besides chase in Dead by Daylight. It just isn't reaction time and mind games. It's just sometimes it is just leaving someone on the ground and pushing for another down and trying to spread pressure in different ways. But he sees the game how he wants to see it. And if the game was based fully on chases, I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much. If I'm being completely frank with you, I think a lot of survivors would just be standing by, not interacting with the chase, and repairing 100-second generators, and that wouldn't be a good game. I think just a lot of the issue with the game is the gen speed is due to map size, and I think it all ties back to that. But yeah, anyway, I think he should stop thinking that the game's only based around the chase.
Yeah. Okay, Airless, who's your favourite? Just before you answer that, I know a few people in the comment, best combo of skill and entertainment is Monto. Who here can actually stand the king? No hate. Okay, so a couple of content creators. Monto's got good videos as well. I enjoy watching him. He's sort of drifting away from Dead by Daylight at the moment. I don't know if that's a talent thing, but I'm starting to notice there's less and less Dead by Daylight content coming out there. From him. So Ellis, who was your streamer wise? Who do you enjoy watching?
Airless, what's your streamer? You're muted. Oh, maybe he needs to be unmuted. Didn't he leave the call and come back? Gonna make sure he's unsuppressed.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Dementia?
Dude, Dementia might have dipped earlier on. He hasn't talked in a long time.
Dementia's gone as well. Okay.
Feels
Rosie, who's your favourite streamer?
True.
True Talent.
Yeah, well, I will say one thing though, just to add a little spice. He's not my favorite, but I will tell you who got me into the game. And I'd never heard of the game until I found this particular toxic piece of shit, and that would be Ocheeto. He's a piece of crap. I know.
He's nothing now, though. He only puts compilations on YouTube.
Yeah,
now. He doesn't even talk anymore.
No, but back in the day, back in 2018, that's who I found, and that's who got me. That's how I found the game, and we can all repent our ways, but that's the shit I watched before. I guess that says a lot about me as a person, but that's who got me into the game.
I've never been able to stand people like that, but it's just it's okay to be toxic every once in a while. I'd lie if I say I never teabagged the Freddy before or a ghost face or something, but nothing personal, Jay. I honestly mean that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
It's just the only way to relieve the stress. Sometimes it's like a stress ball you just fucking control, and it's okay, I feel a little better now that I'm being worried. But it's just. I'll let Dementia talk. He's been silenced for a while.
I've just unmuted you. I don't know if you went back into mute again, Dementia. So.
No, I'm right here.
All right. Okay.
Hello?
Favorite streamer?
Oh, favorite streamer would be True Talent. I just like the guy. I like that he's. Competitive about it, and he's just fun. I guess he wants to have a fun game overall. But I've been kind of drifting in and out of his videos, and I've been getting more into Jay and his Home Sweet Home videos. I've been loving those. I've been loving the game.
Home Sweet Home kicks ass.
Yeah, it seems like such a good refresher than DBD. I get it back on DBD, and I'm like, ugh. Same old thing, it's it's very stale. We haven't got a new map. We got a dumb killer that doesn't do anything, that no one even plays. So so this Home Sweet Home seems very refreshing, and I like seeing Jay play that. It's really fun.
I'm excited for the competition.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully
I was-
that's the hope, right? We want this game to kick off.
Yeah.
You know, that's the hope that I hope. And there's a lot of naysayers out there saying, "Oh, DVD clone, whatever," and that's always going to be the issue with these type of games. It's always going to be everyone's going to call it DVD clone when I'm sure these games have a lot of
there
potential
needs to be
their
more of
own thing.
those.
Yeah,
There
there's been
does.
more.
Everybody listening to the podcast, if
Go
you're
make
in
your own
the
game.
EU, if you're in the right, no, if you're in the EU, Home Sweet Home Survive is a $5. Fucking get it. If you're in the United States, it's $7. Get it. Try it.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
fun.
$7.
Seriously.
Try it. You'll have fun.
Yeah.
You will have
Yeah.
fun.
I haven't
It's
gone around to
cheap
buying
and
it
it's
yet,
fun.
but yeah, I did notice it was a $5, so I will make sure I download that this week and give it a try. I just seen when I went to download, I did go to download it the first day it came out, and there was all the comments saying can't get into games, can't get into that, can't get into that. So that sort of put me off. But you're right in what you're saying. For the sake of £5, it's worth trying out.
They gotta
Going
delete
back
their
to the
old
true
game off the
selling-
store.
They've gone what? Sorry.
I was surprised when you talking about two times.
Yeah.
Going back to that, I one thing I really can't appreciate it. I know you guys brought it up is it can be a negative, but really growing and learning to be better through yourself in Dead by Daylight is because how many people play Dead by Daylight and like don't watch like the big other YouTubers, they don't watch odds or
I'm sure
stuff,
tons, and all
whoever.
those people think the game is way more imbalanced than it is, or they think the pig is overpowered, or they think all kinds of stuff because the only experience they have is their own. You know what I mean? Like, it's so important to just like see what this game is from a perspective besides your own, and I just like that's something True Talent doesn't do at all. But if he did, like I said, he'd be my like the best player in the game. But
Well, that was one of the points is the fact that I think that is a unique perspective that not many Dead by Daylight DVD players have, and for better or worse, you know, I think it is important to keep that kind of perspective in mind in the discussion of the game.
like other people, you mean like watching other people and learning from
Yeah.
them? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's
And
very
when
important,
you're just
especially since the
solo-
game has no tutorials.
I want
No
to say
real
something.
ones, anyways.
Sorry, I want to say something. I do understand the point that like when True Talent doesn't watch anyone else, I feel like that's a thing that I would tell him to do, or I would recommend him to do. Just watch other people, see how they play the game instead of just from your experience. But there's one thing that I do not like from the community that they have done with him is that they ridicule him just because he doesn't watch anyone else or he doesn't like collaborate with any other people, because there's those groups of people that they always stream together, or they like those people. I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't want True associating with them because sometimes they're just nasty. I don't know if anyone dives into Twitter here and there when DVD streamer Twitter drama
There's been a bunch,
Or-
and I'm not
ridiculous.
going to bring any of it
It's
up. I'm not going to
ridiculous.
bring any of it up, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna bring any of it. I'm just saying that I'm just happy that True. I feel like True recognizes that, and that's the main reason why he stays away and why he doesn't really want to collaborate with anyone.
There's many things
The only
you
one
can
he
criticize.
has collaborated. I'm sorry.
Just one point I want to point is that you can criticize True about a lot of his things, but I think one thing that you can't really do that about is him, not really wanting to interact with many other people. I don't think it's such a bad
Mhm.
thing just to be more solo and do it yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And people do that, like, oh, you don't collaborate with anyone. But he luckily collaborated with one of my other favorite DVD streamers, which is Oz. I love him.
If
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that
He's a treasure.
that debate or that discussion. Yeah, he's such a wonderful human being. He's the best, and I'm so happy when they got together and they talked it out.
My favorite streamer personally, is Scott. And
Yeah.
understandable. I like him too. That's why Rosie hated
I don't have
him.
an
I'm
issue
like,
with
what?
him. I just sometimes he talks out of his ass sometimes. I don't know. I feel like when he brought up a discussion about toxicity and DVD, he's like, oh, you rarely see someone use racial slurs. I'm like, that's not the only type of toxicity that there is. There's other forms. There's like slugging everybody and leaving them to bleed out, like not doing anything. There's teabagging. I mean, I don't want to say like teabagging shouldn't trigger anybody, but
That's inconsequential BM.
the intention behind that. Like, we won, you lost, like that. Like, maybe it doesn't
with
affect
that,
him.
Every game. That's every game, bro. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Like,
no, yeah, that's every game, but and maybe it doesn't affect him, maybe it doesn't affect you, but there's people out there that it does affect, and we can't speak for everybody. It doesn't bother me, to be honest. Like, teabag all you want, I really don't care. I could take the loss, but for
DBD
some
really,
people out there, it's just
people.
they take it differently,
Yeah. Well, I think,
and I feel like we can't speak for them.
Yeah, I think just going back on what you were saying about the streamers there, I think and I know Rosie said he's running with Scott, but I think what I find quite refreshing with Scott and True Talent, I think they're both the same in regards to they'll have their opinions on something, but they'll justify why they're thinking that. They won't, they'll say, especially True does it all the time, this is his thinking about it, this is the reason why. And I think he gets shit on a lot for that reason. I think, well, why? Because it's just his opinion and he's trying to justify it. He's got a big community, so maybe there's a lot of people that he'll persuade to have that same thinking. But, I'd much rather have that, whether they give wrong opinions on something, whether I agree with it or not. I'm just like, I'd much rather have that and have, like you said, sometimes you see on Twitter and the dramas that come out, you have people that just shit on people and go, can't believe the community thinks this, anybody that thinks this. And when they're commenting like that, I'm like, I'd much rather listen to someone like True Talent saying his own thoughts on things and the reason why, rather than people going, oh, be nice to the devs, and I'm just like,
right. Oh my god, I'm so sick of that.
and it's
Yeah.
and it's something. I mean, I seen something this week, and it was a comment of Dowsy, and it really got my back up. I actually tweeted, never heard back from him, because I said to him, let's prove your theory. He was like, oh, everyone shits on all the new killers when they come out. I can't remember the exact tweet, but that's pretty much along the lines it was going to. So I tweeted him and I said, right, okay, if you think the Trickster's good, let me bring 4 survivors for you with roughly the same hours that you have, and if you beat them, maybe over a set of games, I will give £50 to charity. If the survivors prove that the Trickster is bad, then you can give £50 to charity. So it's not even a gain for anybody. It's just I was getting pretty sick of people. And this goes back to what Rosie says, when the matchmaking is that bad sometimes that, someone with 4,000 or 5,000 hours is playing someone with 180 hours, then they should be winning, regardless of which killer they are. They should be winning.
I feel like that's very. I don't mean to interrupt, but
yeah.
I feel like that is pretty similar to kind of like Scott with his discussion of Spirit, of how if you think Spirit is perfectly fine, then play against him as Spirit, against someone who's good with Spirit, and see how much counterplay you have against that.
Yeah.
Spirit's balanced. She's just unfun to go against. I think Spirit's completely fair against a good team. More, and I think he would agree with me. I think Scott would agree with me on that. That he balanced against a good team, but she's just like unfun for the game. I mean, me personally, I like going against her, but I'm a crack pipe maniac. I don't even know why I do. I guess I like being jump scared by her. I don't even know. I like going against her, but that's just me. But a lot of people don't. Most people don't, and I think that's less an issue of balance and more an issue of design.
Yeah.
But,
well, what
And
we'll
all
do,
hard
guys,
back to the
because
maps.
I will have to move on a bit because I do need to go pretty soon. So just
problem.
go through some quick fire questions. Wraith is OP, yes or no?
No.
He's perfect.
No.
I think they shouldn't have given him that speed decrease on Uncloak. I think they should. If he would have actually been pushing A
that's a
tier.
bug.
No. I mean, when he slows down while he's hitting his bell, that's intentional. That's in the patch notes.
Oh.
If they hadn't have put that in, he'd be like creeping on A tier, and that'd be so fun. But no, he's great. He's great where he is. I have a lot of fun with him. Him and Blight are like the only two players I play. And Oni.
Okay, I agree. I think he's fun to play with. Trying to get better with him, trying to unlock some perks, but I definitely think having the
Wraith's
base speed, I think that's helped him a lot.
Wraith really, getting good at Wraith really helps you get good with Killer. 'Cause he is very basic. He really teaches you the fundamental
Yes.
of well, at least a 115 Killer.
He's one of the most healthiest killers for the game. He is not OP in the slightest. That's the answer to the question.
What
He's
Captain
not OP.
Salty says about Wraith, which I think it's absolutely right, and he says if you want to learn how to play a killer, you need to start off with someone like a Wraith, because that's the way you're going to get practice with chase, gem pressure, you're going to practice with everything. This was before his update, but I'm sure I sort of understand what he means by that, and I do think, someone like a basic killer who's going to teach you the fundamentals.
Like, if you learn Dead by Daylight with Nurse, you're not playing Dead by Daylight, you're playing the Nurse game.
Yeah. With IDV, Identity 5 and Home Sweet Home, where do you see DBD in a year? That's from Red Room.
That's all dependent on those on those games if they adapt and do well.
Yeah. They gotta port it to P. If they did like a full graphic overhaul of Identity 5, and I wouldn't even mind if they kept like the core line Tim Burton-esque art style, but if they smoothed that out, holy shit, that would be a fun PC game.
If Identity
if they made
5
it control
was
well
on
and everything.
PC or console, I would not play Dead by Daylight anymore. That's just myself. But Identity 5 has been on the App Store for a few years. It's not gonna ever compete with Dead by Daylight. We need a bigger game that's actually ported to. I said this last week. Until I know the PCs where the best experience overall is for these games, but until the game in question gets a full console port, because like the thing about some of this stuff, I never got to try things like Hide or Die or the school one. What was that one called?
I put $200 into the Hide or Die Kickstarter. You can see how that went for me.
But like, I never got to try any of those. I don't feel like you cannot legitimately compete with Dead by Daylight until you get a release to cross-platform. I think that's the very first step.
I guarantee you, if a very strong competitor came out with Dead by Daylight, they would make Dead by Daylight free.
Home Sweet Home.
That's one of the biggest change.
Home Sweet Home is cheap.
I think personally, the only way Dead by Daylight's going to get a really big competitor at the minute is it's going to have to be a big studio game release. I really can't see anything coming close to it as of yet. And I know I'm saying this without playing Home Sweet Home. I've watched some videos of it, but I haven't played it. But I think that touches upon everything that's said there. So, it's got to be cross-platform. It's got to have a big budget to start off with. I've heard these things about the Evil Dead game. I know I mention this every week, but supposedly that is going to be across a number of networks, whether it's cross-platform or not, I don't know. But
is it going to be like Left 4 Dead, or is that going to be an asymmetrical? Because I think it's going to be like a 4 versus like environment. I don't think it's going to be a PvP, is it?
You know what? What's funny about that? Have any of you guys ever played Dying Light?
I played the Shadow Dying Light. Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Do you kind of see the similarities between Dead by Daylight and Be the Zombie?
No, I mean it's asymmetrical. That's about it, bro. I mean, like the mobility, the infinite skill cap. I think playing a monster in that is like literally has an infinite skill cap because of the way you can fling yourself around, momentum and everything. Like any type of character in a game that's based off of the momentum that you're moving at has an infinite skill cap. Like what's it? Like Hammond from Overwatch, infinite skill cap. What else? Like Blight, like infinite skill cap. It just if there was a competitor that focused a lot more on movement, similar to Beat the Zombie, at least in terms of the Apex Predator, I do think that could be a rival to Dead by Daylight. At least, I think, Dead by Daylight only really grew because it was the first, and it didn't have the big competitor of any big competitors now. That's the problem with like games now, because Dead by Daylight at this point is a AAA studio, not like a huge one like other ones, but it has like over 700 employees. It's established. So unlike DVD, when it started out, you have to compete against something that's been here for over almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
And then one last thing I want to say is that Dead by Daylight, I think I said this a few weeks ago too, when you have a reputation as the Super Smash Brothers of horror, that's really hard to compete with because like you're sitting here like Resident Evil tried, which I have problems with how they went about it. Just sticking it as a part of a $60 game was never gonna be a way to keep players around. But like instead of like you could say Resident Evil could do it, but like they could also just be a part of Dead by Daylight. Like you could throw Mr. X in there. Like it's so obvious how to make that actually just a part of Dead by Daylight. Any big franchise that could actually compete with Dead by Daylight and release their own good game
would rather just be added.
Oh, so just be added to it. Yeah.
And then get the money from everyone buying the DLC.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know
Yeah,
what?
no-
I think
super hard to do
Yeah.
it.
Jack, in my opinion, would be a much better killer than Mr. X.
Who's
Jack
Jack?
from the guy from Biohazard 7. I think he fits the
Uh,
role of a killer much better.
Oh, the big guy, right? With the big thing he drags around. And
The
he
dad.
he blows his own brains
No,
out.
like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
welcome to the family, son. You know.
yeah.
that
The
dude.
dad. Yeah.
The
Maybe.
mold, I think,
Uh.
it's a lot more interesting than just because Mr. X, he's just a big dude and he punches you. That's it.
Well, let's not go too far off topic. Now we're talking like
Yeah.
killer concepts. All right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I'll
talking
make
about
my
killer
own xenomorph chapter.
Talking about killer concepts, yeah. Xenomorph in DBD, yes or no, guys?
That'd
Yes.
be cool.
I
I'm
think
down for
everyone
that.
would say yes to
I
that,
suppose
wouldn't
so.
it?
Yeah.
I mean, you have Demogorgon, but at the same time, if you have Demogorgon, why do you need this?
Yeah.
You know
What
what?
do you need, the
Honestly,
Xenomorph?
I'm
What a
weirdly
question.
nostalgic for that crappy PS3 game that they had. If Xenomorph played kind of like he plays in that, I would love him. But that's
I
Now,
love that
What
game.
would you
Yeah.
guys think of
Wait, which crappy
Springtrap
PS3
being
game?
in Dead by Daylight?
I mean, I feel no particular way. If he was fun to play, I'd like him. If he wasn't fun to play, I'd hate him. And that's it.
Yeah,
A lot of people keep leaving if they know they're going to be suppressed, dude. This is like,
I don't know.
all right, unmute dementia.
Okay, let's have a look. Sorry, I'm just flying through these questions. What do you think about a new DS? I think everyone agrees it's good. Everyone agrees it's good?
If I
fantastic.
ever get DS,
Best
this
part of
might
the
be-
patch.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Red Drums put issue with Scott, Scott Jund, I believe he's talking about, is he clearly doesn't believe devs will do anything. I think that came out when he came on the podcast a couple of weeks back. He was saying that the devs won't do anything, they won't listen, but continues to make videos about how the game should be different. Scott also doesn't realise so many people watch his stuff. Yeah, he's a big content creator and his
Oh my god,
videos-
I was about to say, like, oh my god, that's one thing that I really resonated with what Scott said, but he was being too modest, I think. When he was talking about MMR or whatever, and he was saying that it's like, you know, I'm not going to say that like the community is like fully built on its streamers. This game's community is fully built on its streamers. And, you know, he's not going to admit that because he's a streamer and he's humble. But, dude, if MMR makes like streamers quit playing the game, the player count is going to suffer. And that is going to happen. I don't know why anyone can deny that. This game is
Imagine
fucked
if
if
we didn't
MMR
have
fucks with
Ots.
streamers.
If Ots wasn't here,
I mean,
would this
he's
game
just
be nearly
he's
as
just
popular.
it
I mean, I
might
don't
be nearly
think
as
it's like-
popular, but it'd be in a way worse state because he has helped the new player experience so goddamn much, dude. I think we would have the same amount of players, but they would just be less educated, and this community would be even worse off. But this community's so much healthier because he's in it. I'll say that.
Well, what else we got, Jay?
I think that's it. Let's have a look. There was one more. What you guys think of renaming Spirit to Banshee? I don't know about that. They can change it if they want.
I
just as
guess.
long as
you
they
could do
leave,
a
yeah.
you could do a
That's the
separate
last
killer
thing I'm
called the
thinking
Banshee
about.
if you need a free chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the last thing I really think Spirit needs changed, but
Is her name? Yeah, like what?
Yeah, yeah. So that's it, guys. So I am a bit conscious of the time now. So thank you very much, Alice, Dementia, Kirk, and Rosie again
sorry I
for
came in
coming
by
on.
the came
No,
by
it's
late.
fine. That was totally my fault. I got my timings wrong, so I do apologise. We're going to have some more viewers on next week as well, so if any of you guys want to pop in then. So I'm going to do it this week and next. So feel free, because some people commented and they couldn't make it today, so I said we'll give them a slot for next week, because it's really, like I said, it's been interesting hearing your thoughts, guys. Most of you, as I say, I read the comments, I see things that you sent, so it's been really interesting hearing your thoughts on things, and it's been
I
different.
just hope
Been
Captain
really
doesn't yell at
different.
me.
Captain, it's sort I feel a bit lost when he's not here. But
Like you need someone.
yeah, he will be back hopefully next week. I would have been interested to hear when we started talking about True Talent what he said. Remember that rant that he went on 2 weeks ago? You
Oh
know,
my
that
goodness.
came
Captain
out
the
of-
guy with, not
Well,
to
you
be
know
rude to
what?
him, but is Captain the guy with the thick accent? Just to clarify.
Yes.
I don't like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Where's he
don't
from?
agree with
by the way?
everything.
He's from
Germany, I
Germany.
think.
Yeah.
German
I
accent.
don't.
Okay.
I don't agree with everything that Captain says, but it is very nice to have someone with that kind of
Energy.
view
I love
on
it.
the game.
I love his energy.
he's-
I really do.
He's so passionate about it. This is
Very
something.
passionate.
This is something that I said to Rosie when I first came across his video. I was like, "Oh my god! Like you've blown me away with how passionate you are." Whether we agree on the same things or not, you know. And this is what I was saying about True Talent. I think it's a bit shit out people, shit on his thought, because if that's what he believes and that's what his opinion, and
He's just being honest.
he's given. I'd much rather have that than, like I said, some of the fakeness
Than the
that you
king.
see. Yeah, you know, some of the
Or
fakeness that
shit that
comes in.
repeats what everyone else says. You know, like, it's
Yeah.
interesting that he has his own opinions, even if they're sometimes wrong. It's good to form your
Exactly,
opinion.
exactly.
I
And I
just wish
have.
he took some advice sometimes.
Yeah, I have messaged him, and I would love to have True Talent on. He hasn't read my tweet, which I'm not surprised about, to be honest. It'll probably be amongst 1,000 of
That would
tweets
be
that he
legendary.
gets. But yeah, I have messaged him, and I've said would love to have him on. So yeah, I'll try again.
use me as-
I'll keep trying. Yeah.
I'll bait him. I'm a 4-year sub. Just be like, there's a 4-year sub. He just wants to suck your dick the whole podcast. Just come on. I'm like, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Kirk, I
He wouldn't
forgot.
like
If
that. He
you want
wouldn't
an
like
ego
that.
boost, come on down.
Yeah,
He wouldn't
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. But thanks a lot, guys, and thanks a lot for the chat. Thanks a lot for the comments as ever and the questions. And we'll be back again next Sunday. I've still got some videos
Thank
put
you
in.
so much for having me.
Dementia,
And everyone else here.
no problem at all. Dementia, do you want to tell us your Instagram name before you leave? He's gone.
No, I think he's left the call too many times and he's stuck on suppressed right now.
Oh, really?
Just
Right. No
Just
problem.
DM him and get it in the description.
I will do. I will put it on the description, so I'll speak to Dementia after this. All right, so I'm going to